When the last road falls. When hope is almost gone. Two warriors stand with nothing but a sword and a bow. This is the battle that changed everything. The wind howled through the valley of Emberfall like a warning no one could silence. At the top of the eastern ridge, Kale of the Ashguard tightened his grip around the hilt of his sword. Below him, the once green fields had turned into a sea of blackened earth and broken shields. Smoke rose in thin lines from burning villages in the distance. War had finally come. Beside him stood Erin Swiftbow, her quiver full, her bow already strong. She watched the horizon with eyes sharper than any blade. "They'll be here before sunset," she said. Kale nodded. "Then we make sure they don't pass this valley." The army of Lord Marek moved like a storm, thousands of soldiers in dark armor, banners stitched with a crimson wool. Wherever Marek marched, cities fell. Not because his army was stronger, but because fear arrived before he did. And fear broke men faster than swords. But Emberfall was different. It was the last gateway to the western kingdoms. If it fell, everything beyond it would burn. Kale and Erin led a small force with just 300 fighters. Farmers turned soldiers. Hunters turned archers. Blacksmiths turned warriors. No one here wanted glory. They only wanted to protect their homes. The first arrows flew just before dusk. Erin drew her bow in one smooth motion and released. Her arrow caught the air and struck the lead scout clean in the throat. He dropped without a sound. Then the valley erupted. Dark-armored soldiers charged down the slope, shields raised, swords flashing in the dying light. The defenders answered with a storm of arrows. The sky filled with black lines of death. Kale raised his blade. "Hold the line," he shouted. The first clash sounded like thunder, steel against steel, screams cutting through smoke. Kale met his first enemy head-on. Their swords collided, sparks flying. He pushed forward, driving his blade into the man's chest. No time to think. No time to feel. Only survive. Erin moved like a shadow along the ridge, firing arrow after arrow. Each shot was calm. Each shot was deadly. But for every soldier that fell, two more took his place. By nightfall, the enemy broke through the eastern wall. Fire spread through the wooden watchtowers. The screams of wounded men echoed through the valley. Kale fought near the gate, his armor soaked in sweat and blood. His sword arm ached, but he refused to slow. Then he saw it. Erin, surrounded. 5 enemy soldiers closed in on her position. She loosed 2 arrows, both found their mark, but the others pressed forward. Kale shouted her name and charged. He cut down the first man with a wide swing. The second tried to run him through. Kale twisted aside and drove his blade upward. Erin grabbed the fallen sword and joined him back to back. For a moment, she said between breaths, "I thought that was the end." Kale smirked. "Not today." The ground trembled. From the far end of the valley rode Lord Marek himself, clad in black steel, mounted on a massive warhorse. His sword, Dread Spire, glowed faintly red, as if it drank the light around it. When Marek dismounted, his soldiers parted for him like waves before a ship. Fear spread faster than fire. Kale felt it too, but he buried it deep. "This ends now," Kale said. Erin placed one final arrow into her bow. "Then let's make history." Marek cut through the defenders like a storm. Every strike of his blade sent soldiers falling. No hesitation. No mercy. Kale stepped forward. "I am Kale of Emberfall," he shouted. "Your war ends here." Marek laughed. "You are brave. And bravery makes good graves." Their swords met with a clash so loud it silenced the battlefield. Kale attacked fast, 3 strikes in quick succession. Marek blocked them all with ease, then countered with a brutal blow that sent Kale crashing to the ground. Before Marek could finish him, an arrow struck his shoulder. Erin stood on the ridge, bow drawn again. Marek roared and turned toward her. Kale forced himself up. "Your fight is with me," he said. Marek smiled darkly. "Then die." Marek charged. Kale barely deflected the strike meant for his head. The force of it knocked him back several steps. His arms trembled. Erin kept firing, but Marek's armor turned most arrows aside. So she changed tactics. She aimed for gaps. An arrow struck Marek's thigh. Another hit his arm. The Dark Lord staggered, but did not fall. With a roar, he hurled his sword. Kale barely dodged as Dread Spire buried itself in the earth behind him. Marek drew a dagger and rushed Erin. Kale sprinted after him. The three collided at the base of the ridge. Steel flashed. Blood spilled. Erin was knocked to the ground. Marek raised his blade. Kale screamed and drove his sword straight through Marek's side. The Dark Lord froze. Slowly, he turned. Then he fell. For a moment, the battlefield went silent. Then someone shouted, "Marek is dead." The enemy line wavered. Then it broke. Soldiers dropped their weapons and ran. The defenders of Emberfall, wounded and exhausted, stood in disbelief as the impossible happened. They had won. The valley was quiet by dawn. Smoke still rose from broken towers. The wounded lay on blankets as healers moved among them. Kale sat on a fallen stone, his sword resting beside him. Erin joined him, her bow laid across her knees. "We lost too many," she said softly. "Yes," Kale replied. "But we saved thousands." She looked toward the horizon. "Do you think peace will last?" Kale shook his head. "Peace never lasts. But courage does." They shared a tired smile. Word of Emberfall spread across the kingdoms. They spoke of the swordsman who stood against the Dark Lord. They spoke of the archer whose arrows changed the tide of war. They spoke of a battle where farmers became heroes. And in every tale, the same words were repeated. They did not fight for glory. They fought so others could live. Weeks later, as Kale and Erin prepared to leave Emberfall to help rebuild other lands, Erin placed one arrow into her quiver, an arrow she had saved from the battle. "For what?" Kale asked. She smiled. "For the day darkness rises again." Kale lifted his sword. "Then we'll be ready." They walked into the sunrise. Not as soldiers. Not as legends. But as guardians of a world still learning how to hope. For more action-packed stories like this, subscribe to this channel.